It's no secret that me and Chael Sonnen got beef. We got more beef than a Cardi B video. But the fact is that he's one half of the greatest MMA comeback of all time. So I'm gonna have to talk about it for like the next 10 minutes. What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse, and I'm the founder and grandmaster of MMA, Mexican martial arts. I upload new videos every Wednesday. If you want to make sure that you don't miss them, then you need to click all when you subscribe, and then you need to enable the notifications on your phone. We've been through this. This video was sponsored by X Martial, the home of the Mexican martial arts rash guard. More on that later. I have to admit that I had never seen the fight prior to my research for this video, as I'm sick of seeing Chael Sonnen on my homepage as it is, and I was missing out. Chael Sonnen said before the fight that it was gonna be a one-sided pounding.
This is gonna be a one-sided pounding and I'm swinging the hammer.
And he wasn't lying, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Chael Sonnen came into this fight with the perfect mindset. He respected Anderson Silva, but he also had complete confidence in himself.
I acknowledge that he's a fantastic fighter. He is the champion, but I am the best.
And he also came into this fight with what seemed like the perfect game plan. He was attacking those daddy long legs from the get. He was on that Poirier game plan. Apparently Conor McGregor had never watched this fight either, but I know who did. Anthony Ferguson. I didn't know Chael could move like that. I didn't watch a lot of UFC back in those days. I'm used to seeing Chael just sitting down, running his mouth about the people that are actually fighting. And it wasn't all for show either. Within the first minute, Silva got rocked, and Chael followed up. He was putting on such a performance that the commentators started harmonizing.
He had him again!
Things were different back then. These days, the arguments between the commentators are almost better than the actual fights. But back in the day, Chael was bringing fools together.
He had him again!
And this was kind of embarrassing for Silva. Up to this point, he was 11-0 in the UFC, reigning champion. And then all of a sudden, he's getting smacked up by some fool with biceps. This goes against everything that Silva's BJJ was supposed to represent. So he was trying to save face and act all hard. But it's not a good idea to save face by getting your face socked up. Silva was trying to prove to Chael that the biggest arms in Wesleyan, Oregon didn't have the power to phase him. Unfortunately, Silva did not consider the cumulative effects of such decisions, and it came back to haunt him later. He lost a lot of respect from Chael by playing games like this. He thought that that fool was being cheesy, so he started grading him, and he absolutely punished him for the rest of the round. To be honest, Chael was sunning that fool, and I've seen fights stop for much less than that, maybe not less money. Silva was so beat up after the round that he didn't even want to go to his corner. His nose hurt, his ribs hurt, his feelings were hurt. Serio, his corner was all mad at him, but that's good because it motivated him. And I mean motivated in the traditional sense, not in the Conor McGregor sense. He came out for the second round with enthusiasm and a big leg kick. Again, a cumulative effect. He got a little too excited and tried throwing another one, but Chael caught it. And then he discombobulated that fool, rendering Silva helpless, which led to the funniest ground and pound that I've ever seen in my life. It was kind of like that one scene from Kickboxer. And then he started covering his mouth. Silva was already looking winded, so Chael decided to capitalize on it, and he gave him that homemade elevation mask. He later confessed to Joe Rogan that he farted in his glove before the fight. Dirty vato. I have to admit that Chael executed probably my favorite move that I've ever seen in an MMA fight right here. He was acting all tired and dropped a couple of lazy elbows to throw off Silva's timing, and then he surprised him with the elbow to the face. This was one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in a fight. The skill that Chael Sonnen has to make you laugh while he's fighting for his life is frankly undeniable. And then he did the same thing again right after. It's that broken rhythm. And then at the end of the round, something very interesting happened. Silva had a pretty solid Kimura that Chael didn't seem to have an answer for. And for some mysterious reason, he let it go. And he went for a leg lock instead. Chael slipped out of it, socked him in the face, and proceeded to give him another bevel. Silva came out big again at the beginning of the third round. He landed a kick, and Chael didn't like that. So he took him down and gave him a dead leg. And he kept intense pressure for the entire round. It was like he was dropping a beat on that fool's head. And it was catchy too, because Joe Rogan started playing along. Chael Sonnen was pounding on him so much that it was starting to look like a gif. And then that caused him to think of how angry it makes him when people mispronounce it as Jiff. So in a blind rage, he straight up choked that fool. But it's like I always tell people, if you're gonna choke someone, you gotta do it in that ex-martial gear. There's fools out there who will literally tell you to do it in your pajamas, cause they're sleeping on these rash guards, which I can't fully blame them for. They are very comfortable. Mira, when you're at Walmart and you gotta take that fool down and he's on PCP, I guarantee you that he's not gonna be wearing pajamas. The first thing that fools on PCP do is get naked. The rash guard imitates nakedness so that when you're training, you don't condition your muscle memory to rely on grabbing jackets and pants and belts. You're just grabbing what God gave that fool. I know what you're thinking. I want a Mexican martial arts rash guard. It looks clean, but I'm not Mexican and I don't want to get canceled. Mira, if I said it once, I've said it at least 2 or 3 times. The Mexican martial arts is not about the color of your skin.
It's the way you think and the way you live.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're Mexican, white, Chinese. The only color that this rash guard sees is green, homie. Just use my link down below and the promo code Mexican Martial Arts for 10% off of anything.
That's a good deal.
The beginning of the 4th round was the absolute worst that Chael looked throughout the entire fight. Perhaps this was due to the fact that this was his first time ever competing in a championship round, as well as his last. Silva was landing kicks. He rocked him. And for the first time, Chael's takedowns were unsuccessful. And for the first time, Chael got put on his back. But then Silva dropped a 12-6 elbow and the ref got mad at him. And he got embarrassed or something and kind of lost his momentum after that. And then Chael straight up took Silva from 12-6. And he controlled the rest of the round. It would be very easy to assume that Anderson Silva was completely helpless. But maybe he was just very patient. You could see that he never lost sight of his own strategy, that he was waiting for the perfect moment to strike, or submit rather. It doesn't make any sense to me that Chael Sonnen absolutely dominated the entire fight up to this point. And now, at the beginning of the final round, and leading 4 rounds to 0, he looks like he doesn't even want to be there. And now Silva's all hyped up. Chael's looking clumsy and can no longer land takedowns at will. But what looks even worse is this punch that clearly didn't land. But for some reason, Silva's trying his best to sell it. And then right after that, Chael locks in a pretty good choke from side control and willingly gives it up by moving into Silva's guard. And then that reminded me of that perfectly good Kimura that Silva had given up earlier. And clearly, I wasn't the only one that suspected foul play. Things were starting to look so obvious that the UFC had Joe Rogan call this a slip.
The punch that looked like it knocked Anderson down was actually a slip. I was just showing the replay. Anderson ducked under it, lost his footing, and now he's in side control.
It was actually this incident that caused Spotify to first take notice of Joe Rogan and the fact that he's willing to push any narrative for the right price. But that's irregular. The UFC was obviously just trying to cover their tracks, because you could see that Silva was acting all dramatic, like he was hurt, and he appeared to continue to do so for the next couple of minutes. I guess he's a method actor, like Marlon Brando or Chris D'Elia. But none of the shenanigans from this fight could prepare me for what I was about to see next. I've never been a fan of Chael. This is public knowledge, but I am a fan of truth. And when I see the footage of the tap, it doesn't look like a tap to me. Remember, this is the same fool that was slapping up Silva's ears a little earlier.
Discombobulate.
And I believe we're looking at the same kind of thing right here. This is obviously an inner thigh slap, which is a very effective technique. You could see that it didn't have the characteristic motion of a tap. Just a single distinct strike. Ladies and gentlemen, this was no tap. Of course, Chael ruins my case by openly stating otherwise.
That was a misunderstanding of the rules. And the way I thought it worked was that if you tapped, you lost that round. So I thought what they would do is they go to a judge's decision, they go 4 rounds to 1, and we go home and I'd be the new champion. And if anyone had explained to me that that stops the bout in its entirety, I would not have tapped.
That being said, I think it's pretty ironic to lose the fight by way of your own sponsor. But as far as I'm concerned, this is not where the story ends. That's right, I'm about to pull an M. Night Shyamalan on you.
Vámonos!
This video was not about Anderson Silva's comeback. It's about Chael Sonnen's. Right about now, Anderson Silva's probably playing Rainbow Six with Steven Seagal. And Chael Sonnen? Well, he currently heads the biggest MMA talking head channel on the planet. Who else is there? Luke Thomas? Brendan Schaub? The numbers don't lie. I know what you're thinking. What about Ariel Helwani? First of all, the only reason that anyone watches Ariel is because DC is so darn lovable. But on top of that, Ariel's backed by ESPN. And there's a ton of other videos on that channel that he's not even in. Chael Sonnen is all by himself. And he's right behind the behemoth that is ESPN. Chael Sonnen is like PewDiePie. And ESPN is like T-Series. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Grandmaster, where do you fit into all of this? That's a good question. But I'm not an MMA analyst. I'm what you might refer to as MMA truther. And even though I'm not a Chael Sonnen fan, for reasons between me and himself, the truth is, Chael Sonnen has successfully pulled off the biggest MMA comeback in history. Chael Sonnen, respect, but you already know what's on site, homie. Thank you for watching Mexican Martial Arts. Appreciate it. Good looking out. Late.